So I know that it's not always easy or quick to take something that you see in the real world and turn it into a digital file for 3D printing. So today we're going to be taking a look at Hitem3D. Hitem3D is an AI platform that can generate models and textures based off the images that you upload to it. The idea is fairly simple. You see something that you would like to turn into a digital file for video game asset or 3D printing. You simply take a picture and then upload it directly to the website and let the magic happen. Say one day you're walking through the park and find a really cool rock and you decide, I would really love to print this rock, but it's not a digital file. Well, that's where Hitem3D comes in. Or better yet, you're walking through a thrift store and you find something that would make a really cool digital asset for a video game or project you're working on. Now, we're not going to be focusing on digital assets for video games or anything like that, but the process is still the same. Today we have a few interesting different objects that we're going to be taking pictures of and then throwing those into Hitem3D to see exactly how well it does. The first thing we're going to throw in here would be this incense container. This is a pretty interesting object. It's something my wife bought for me quite a while back, and it would be interesting to throw this into a digital world and see if we can get a 3D print that looks any sort of similar to this. Keep in mind, this video is sponsored by Hitem3D, but that doesn't change what I'm going to say here or my overall opinions. It's important to keep in mind that we want to make sure that we have a good amount of lighting on our subject or whatever object we're taking photos with. This doesn't have to do with just Hitem3D. It has to do with anything that you're using photographs for. The better quality your image, the better quality your output. Our first photo was taken on the table here with everything in the background. But one thing I know from both editing and input is it really helps to isolate or pull out the background for whatever photos we're taking. So our second photos are going to be with the background completely isolated. To do this, I'm going to pull down the film screen here and then just take my hoodie off, throw it on the table, make sure it's flat, and then place the object on top of it. Now, the main goal here is to isolate the background. You don't need a bunch of fancy film equipment to do this. You can just grab a dark sheet or even a bright sheet. The idea is just make sure that you have a flatter background without a lot of objects. That way the model isn't getting confused and you have the best input data possible. I'm really interested to see how Hitem3D handles subject isolation. If it can actually pick the subject out without having to isolate the background, and does it really make a difference for the model they're using? Now that we have our photos of our objects taken, next we need to be able to drop them into Hitem3D. And the first thing I notice is there is a limit on the resolution for the images. So we're going to need to do a little bit of resizing here. There's a few different ways that you could resize your photos in different editing software, but for us, we're going to use a really simple tool, which is bulkresizephotos.com. We're just going to grab all of our photos, throw them into the website, and then set it to resize at 50%, since my images are about double what they allow on Hitem3D. On the main site, we're going to want to go over to Creative Space, and here we have a few options, but mainly all we really want to pay attention to is our model version and our resolution. Our main two options are our image to 3D or our multi-view to 3D. For our first test, we're going to be using the single image to 3D. The first thing we're going to upload would be the photos of our incense holder, and then once we have this, we just simply hit generate. One thing I did notice, and one thing you want to keep in mind, is this generation process does take a little bit of time. So you can close the page and come back to it a while later, or if you're just feeling like sitting around, you can leave it open and just watch it. But the good news is you don't need to sit around. You can open up another instance of Creative Space and insert more photos and start another generation. And all of those will run simultaneously in the background while you're doing anything you feel like doing. Looking at our first results, I'm really happy with what we got. And I think it's a really close representation of our incense holder here. If we look at the bottom of our viewport, you see that we have a few different options for our rendering. We have our rendering results, our white diffuse, our albedo, and our normals. Since we're mainly focused on 3D printing, our texture isn't exactly what we're interested in. We get a better idea of our part geometry if we look at our white diffuse or our normals. Once we take a look at our white diffuse or our normals, we realize that the geometry isn't a trick of a bump map or a specular map. It's actually baked into the geometry of the model. If you've ever worked in 3D modeling or downloaded a file that wasn't designed for 3D printing, you know there's a big distinction between the geometry being baked into the model and baked into a texture. And this is exactly what we want. We want our geometry baked into the model itself. That way it translates perfectly when 3D printing. It's important to note, if you're not happy with the output from your original upload, you can go ahead and use the free 3 retries down at the bottom to try to get a better output for your file. But we're really happy with this, so generally we're just going to stick with it. Since we're happy with our output, at the bottom, we're going to go ahead and download this. Now, keep in mind we have a few different options here, but for us, we want to download OBJ. This is going to download as a zip file and have everything complete with the model texture included. For this, we're not really going to use the color or the texture, but if you ever wanted to make a multicolor print out of your 3D model, keep in mind you can do that, but you want to use an option like OBJ, as STL doesn't really support textures or multicolor. Before we move on to 3D printing, we're going to throw our files into Blender. Keep in mind you don't have to use blenders. There are ways to do this in the slicer, but this is my preferred method. And there are a few reasons why we want to do this. The first reason we're going to do this is we want our model to be as close to scale to the physical original as possible. So we'll just scale this up a bit and eyeball it. Now, I could have measured this a little bit better, but for quickness sake, we're just going to say it's about 150 millimeters. And the next reason is 3D generation doesn't really have a good concept of what is bottom and what should be flat. And this is true of all models on the market, not just Hitem3D. And we want to make sure we have a flat base so when we throw this into our slicer, it's ready for 3D printing. So we're going to drop a cube in here and then use that for a Boolean cut so we make sure the bottom of our model is completely flat against our build plate. And now that we've made all our modifications, we could pull it into our slicer and send it off to our Anycubic Cobra S1. One cool thing that is important to mention is Hitem3D actually just released their all-new Blender plugin. We won't be checking that out today, but that's an awesome option that we would love to dig into the future. And now, after several hours of 3D printing, we have our original object here along with our 3D print. And I have a feeling if I painted this to match this, I could throw this up on the shelf and my wife wouldn't even know that this is missing. And for anybody that's concerned that model generation is going to replace designers or 3D modelers, keep in mind, this is just a basic 3D print. It's not functional at all. This incense holder here has a top and the inside is full of incense. So I think it would be really cool if I opened up Blender and hollowed this out and made it so we could remove our top and it would be the same as the functional original. None of which we'll be doing today, but the concept is really cool and something I might actually do in the future. The next thing we're going to work with is this statue here, and we're going to do this with 4 images as opposed to the 1. And there's a very important reason that I chose this specific statue. You see, I've worked with model generation before, and I tend to have a really good idea where it's going to excel and where it's going to have a little bit more difficulties. If we look at the statue right here, we see we have all the perfect variables for a very difficult translation to a 3D model. This statue has a lot of things that make it an absolute nightmare for most generation models. It has a lot of geometry, but it's also a single monotone color for the most part, and there's a lot of depth. So it's hard to translate from a single photo or even 4 photos exactly what's going on with the geometry. And looking at the difficulties in our geometry here, it's really no surprise that our first result comes out a little bit less than desired. But that's okay. At the bottom of our viewport, we do have the option of 3 free retries per generation. So we can go ahead and try for another output here and see if we get something a little bit better. The main issue with our generation has to be the face of our horses, because the depth on this statue here, it's really hard for the model to understand what is horse 1 and what's horse number 2. And I'm not even sure if it knows there is 2 horses in the file. So we'll go ahead and do a free retry and see exactly what comes out. If we come out anywhere near close to this, it's going to be a huge win for Hitem3D. And after our retry, we see that we're a lot closer to our actual statue than I actually anticipated that we would be. We have 2 separate horses here, and even though it's a little bit more stylized, it definitely knows what's going on and got a lot closer. I think if I changed up the photos and took a few more options and then re-uploaded those, we might be able to get even closer to our actual statue here. An interesting thing to note here is Hitem3D doesn't have any form of text prompt or input. It is strictly an image-based prompt system. But the good news is it can use any image that you give it to generate an output, not just images taken with your cell phone. So we can open up something like ChatGPT or Grok and say, make me an image of whatever, and it will generate an image that we can download and input into Hitem3D. And that's exactly what we've done with our little treasure chest here. We've had ChatGPT generate an image, download that, and throw it into Hitem3D. And we see that our output is just as good if we took a picture with our cell phone on any physical objects. Now let's take our treasure chest and throw it into Blender. The first thing we're going to do is scale this up a little bit. And the next thing we're going to do is, just like before, we need to make sure that our bottom is completely flat. But there's another interesting different side effect that we have from our model generation. It created a lot of detail that's not necessarily easy or translates well to 3D printing, especially when we look inside the treasure chest towards the coin or gold. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill this area with a cube and then use our loop cut tool to make a bunch of different sections. Once we've done that, we'll go over to sculpting and move it up and down a bit to arrange it as a bed for our gold or treasure. This makes sure that all the different hollow spaces underneath our coins or gold or treasure aren't going to be filled with support material. Rather, we're going to have a basic bed that flows neatly underneath them, and this will translate a lot better to 3D printing. Now we can import it into our slicer, send it off to the Cobra S1, and just wait until it's ready. And now we have a nice little treasure chest straight off of our build plate. After this, I generated a few more things and ended up printing this cool little droid guy. If we look at our viewport and switch over to our normals, we can see that there is an incredible amount of detail to the actual geometry. And interestingly enough, if we rotate this guy towards the back, I have a strange feeling if we looked at his profile, he would have a link tree. I'm honestly fairly impressed with the results that we've gotten from Hitem3D. Just keep in mind, nothing's ever perfect and your results may vary, and you might have to try the retry depending on what you're actually trying to take from a photo to a 3D model. One thing I will say is, out of all the different generation platforms that I've tried for 3D models, Hitem3D has been the one that has impressed me the most with their outputs. One thing I'll mention is this doesn't replace functional 3D printing or design at all. This is more about aesthetics or just translating objects from the real world into a format that can be 3D printed or even used as assets in digital projects. For anyone watching this, Hitem3D is going to be giving away 2 1-month pro memberships. To be eligible, just leave a comment down below and we'll select 2 random winners at the end of the month on the 31st. I'll make sure to leave a comment letting you know that you've won. And I have to say, with Hitem3D, I'm overall impressed with the results that we've gotten out of their generation, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how it evolves and progresses over time.